I was following the eye, 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 was following the pack, all swallowed in their coats, with scarves of red tied round their throats, to keep their little heads from falling in the snow. And I turned around and there you go, and Michael, you would fall and turn the white snow red as strawberries in the summertime.
It's been 4 hours now that I've been riding at night on this trail with one good eye. My cornea is frozen and I can't see a thing out of my right side. Add to that a little bit of frostbite starting to form on the bottom of my chin. I'm feeling a little low right now, but my heart leaps from my chest when I see the flickering red lights of the village landing strip. The policeman shakes his head in utter disbelief. He asks me if I know where I am. I told him I just needed to find the nursing station so I could get my eye checked out before I went off looking for a place to sleep. He looks at me again and says, "Buddy, this is Shamaroa. We don't have any lodging here." At the nursing station, it's good news, bad news. It turns out I should get my eyesight back in a few days to a week, but the bad news is, the cop is right. Fumbling around town, I see a small light on in the old Anglican church. I think to myself, well, maybe they'll take pity on this poor idiot and let him sleep in the alcove. I bump and thump my way through the doors. When I step out into the light and my eyes adjust, I realize suddenly that there's over 100 people looking at me. It was then that I noticed the casket. I felt like such a moron interrupting the memorial service, so I started to back away and someone touched my arm and suggested that I just have a seat and warm up until after the service. All I wanted to do was slink out into the cold and find a place in the woods and set up camp. After the service, Mabel comes to me with a hot cup of coffee and a warm smile. She asks if I've set up a place to stay for the night, and I sheepishly tell her that no, I haven't really thought that far ahead. She says, "Well, you're welcome to stay with us. We're all friends here." I openly wept for a child who, 1 week after her 14th birthday, could no longer bear to look for the answers. I was struck by just how small her casket was. The Oasis Agency is the First Nations version of Children's Aid. They provide culturally appropriate support for kids in need. Today they can add solo motorcycle adventurists to their list of souls that they've saved. I don't want to give the impression that this is a sad place. Quite the contrary. It's filled with a rich culture and a beautiful people. It's just that a little corner of it has left an indelible mark on me. These shining children have far bigger hills to climb than anything I'll see on this silly little trek. In comparison, my problems are petty and small. I know now. I can do this. 4 little scallywags latch onto a dangling piece of rope and go on for a ride. I get the metaphor. Now, I have nothing but respect for the RCMP. I know they have a difficult job to do up here, and the last thing they want is to have to go through wolf scat looking for bits of me. But in my warped little mind, that seemed less a decree and more a challenge.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Come hell or high water, I'm going to Fort Severn.
Turn on, I see red. Adrenaline crash and crack my head. Nitro junkie paint me dead. And I see red. 100 plus through black and white. War horse, warhead, recommend white knuckles tight. Through black and white. Ooh, wanna burn. Fuel is pumping engines, burning hard, loose and clean. Ooh, and don't I burn, turning my direction, quench my thirst with gasoline. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
This is as good a time as any to remind you that I have no rear suspension dampening and oil-soaked front brakes. This entire program was brought to you using these two pieces of only the latest high-tech videographic equipment.
The bomb. Swallow future, spit out home, burn your face up on the chrome. Take the corner, join the crash. Headlights, headlights, another junkie lives too fast. Lives way too fast. Fuel is pumping engines, burning hard, loose and clean. Ooh, and don't I burn, turning my direction, quench my thirst with gasoline. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. White knuckle time. Give me fuel, give me fire, my desire. give me that which I desire.
Oh, wrong clip. On March 1st, 2013, my humble little Agatha became the very first motorcycle to make it to the shores of Fort Severn and the saltwater sea ice of Hudson's Bay, named after famous explorer Henry Hudson, who was set adrift here by a mutinous crew after they had determined he had gone mad. There are some who would suggest that he and I share a common trait. At the zenith of my adventure, band member Roy Stoney of the Fort Severn Cree sets me up with a really nice place to stay at the one and only motel in town. After I get settled in what turns out to be a surprisingly well-appointed room, Roy and I go looking for Brad Goluboski. He's the guy that actually maintains the winter road up here. What I'm doing up here is just a stupid winter stunt. What these guys have to do day in and day out to keep these vital lifelines open to these communities is something no less than a superhuman feat of engineering. Hats off to you boys. You're better men than I am. Now, I couldn't actually ride out onto the sea ice with the snow being 3 feet deep at the shore, but I did get close enough that I could throw a snowball at it, and that was good enough for me. Now it's time for me to turn around and go home. In other words, I get to do it all over again, just from the other direction. The ride home turned out to be just as eventful as the ride up. While heading towards Red Lake to visit a friend of mine, I got my very first flat of the trip. Serendipity provided a block of ice in the shape of a 5-gallon pail, complete with petrified minnows once owned by an ice fisherman. In an hour, I'm all patched up and I'm back on the road to visit a distant relative in Red Lake.
It's 2 women.
2 women?
One kicker for me, daytime and one nighttime.
Okay, what's your take on that, Joanna?
Oh, I don't know.
Bruno's worked the gold mines here in northern Ontario for over 40 years. In his chest beats the heart of the lion. He's had pneumonia, glaucoma, diabetes, silicosis, cancer. Nothing seems to knock him down. Apparently, though, his cholesterol's doing all right these days. In Thunder Bay, members of the Scenic Cruisers Motorcycle Club treats me to dinner. They probably would have expected me to order steak, but really, after all that bacon, all I wanted was some leafy green shrubbery. As a result of a chewed-up rear tire and frayed cords, I am incessantly dogged by punctures over the next 3 days. I think I've earned myself a beer, but I'll be damned if I'm going to drink it from a styrofoam cup. I guess I could mention that at some point on this trip on the way home, I pulled over and stopped for lunch where I dropped the bike. It was sitting on my leg, and while I was trying to wiggle my way out of it, a jagged cotter pin unzipped my leg open. As I couldn't afford to lose another day on the road, I had to deal with it trailside. But I promise I'll spare you the gory details. Okay, well, maybe just a little gore. Salvation came from Kevin and Gary over at Trailside in Espanola. They interrupted their Sunday morning breakfast to come over and open up the shop for little old me. Kevin found an old Chinese motocross tire, which wasn't exactly ideal, but it got me home. Literally within minutes, the knobs of the non-DOT approved Chinese motocross tire started chunking off on the highway. I had to bring the speeds right down to keep it together. As I nurse Agatha home in the rain, with the tire practically falling off the back of the bike, I make the last corner in my little hometown. My heart is in my throat.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you.
With this ride over, I can put another big notch in my belt, but it raises the question, how do I top this? Well, I have a few ideas, but I'm going to need a lot more butter.
Ye fleeting charms of earth, farewell, your springs of joy are dry. My soul now seeks another home, a brighter world on high. I'm a long time traveling here below to lay this by.